Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats as we will commence our event shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, our next session will continue with the leadership talk with the topic Leadership and Integrity session. Before we invite our speaker, allow me to introduce Yang Berbahagia Professor Dr. Siva Murugan, son of Pandian. He is a political social lecturer at the School of Social Sciences, University Science Malaysia, with an extensive academic background, including a bachelor's degree from University Malaya, a master degree from Aoyama Gakuin University, Tokyo, Japan, and a Doctor of Philosophy from University Malaya. His research focuses on leadership, ethnic relations, and political electoral behavior, and he has authored several books including Legasi Mahathir, Abdullah Ahmad Badawi, Pola Pengudian Negeri, Kukuh Nilai Kukuh Negara, Malaysia, Senario Sosial Contemporary, Patriotisme Malaysia, and Managing Success in Unity. In 2023, he was appointed as a member of a National Unity Advisory Council, MPPN, a board trustee of a National Professors Council, MPN, and a member of Research University Committee, JKRU, under the Ministry of Higher Education, KPT. In addition, he has served as a think tank panelist for the Ministry of National Unity, a member of National Agriculture Advisory Council, and a board member of MARDI under the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industry from 2020 to 2022. Currently, he serves as a member of the Presidential Advisory Council for the Football Association of Malaysia and the Vice President of the Kuala Lumpur Badminton Association. He was also recognized as a patriotic icon on 2016 and 2017 in conjunction with National Day celebration. With that, we would like to invite Yang Berbahagia Dato Professor Dr. Siva Murugan, son of Pandian, Professor of Political Sociology, School of Social Sciences, University Science Malaysia, to commence the closing keynote. Please welcome.
Thank you, moderator. A very good afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, fellow leaders, Student Representative Council, and the organizing committee. First, allow me to express my gratitude to the organizing committee, especially to the Ministry of Higher Education and Dr. Zaifilia, my biggest fan, who have extended an invitation to me. We've been communicating until late night yesterday in order to make sure that I come. And yes, before we start the session, a bit of news. Manchester United won today morning. We have yet to be beaten in the Europa Cup, although been losing a lot in the EPL, but yet that's how it is. Sometimes you are up. Yes, that's a Manchester song. I didn't expect it at all. This was not planned. Okay, Cap, nanti ada yang marah, Cap. Itu selingan je, selingan. Ada yang nak nyanyi ke sebelum kita mula tentang leadership integrity pukul 3 ni? Ada? Kita buat santai We'll make it santai. We'll use both languages, English, Malay. You can speak Japanese if you want. If you can speak Chinese, you can speak as well. We'll have translator. If you want to speak Tamil as well, we'll have translator. Don't worry. Any languages is welcome. Okay? Good? Okay. The topic that is given to me is on leadership and integrity. And mainly all of you, I assume, are leaders. But what is a leader? How do you describe a leader? Apa itu pemimpin? Bagaimana kita memberikan gambaran seseorang itu pemimpin? How do you assume that you are the leader? Are you forced to be a leader? Yeah, don't say that. You're elected, I assume. Maybe some are appointed, right? So you went through the process, democracy process within your respective university, but yet you choose to become one. Not everyone can become a leader. Not everyone is born to become a leader. Sometimes we develop ourselves to become a leader, but how do you see yourself as a leader? Many out there would want to do so much for the people, but in your capacity as a leader, what do you want to do? What do you want to do as a leader? As a student council representative, what do you want to do? Do you want to have more buses in the school? Well, in USM we call school, yeah? In faculty, on campus, what do you want to have? Every time when you face election within the campus, you have your own manifesto, right? And you come up with a lot of things. You say you want to have this, that, you want to take care of the welfare, but could you do that? Could you do that? Yes, no? Not yet. You've done that. You have achieved some, maybe. Maybe it is a work in progress, but that's all right. That's how you see yourself as a leader. Jadi bagaimana kita nak gambarkan seorang itu pemimpin? Adakah kita nak menjadi seperti Datuk Seri Dr. Zamri Abdul Kadir? Ini temu Dr. Siva dulu ya. Dr. Zamri kemudian. Walaupun kami hampir serupa, tadi ada yang kata poster lebih kurang sama, nanti bagi tahu dekat Dr. Zam kalau berani. Ni rakam ke? Tak apa. Dr. Zam knows that. Everywhere we go, sometimes he said, this is my brother. Jadi, adakah anda nak menjadi seperti Dr. Zam, or you want to be like the prime ministers that we had before, from the first till PMX? And why do you choose that particular person as a role model? Is it because the charismatic values that they portray, or you feel that they uphold integrity within themselves as the priority of becoming a leader? So my presentation today will focus on, and that's me. Again, it's not Dr. Zam. That was Spartan last year in Thailand, I think. Anyone joined Spartan before? Do you know Spartan? Not Wiper, eh? Wiper is not challenging, but Spartan. Please join Spartan. I'm not the ambassador for Spartan, but it keeps you fit as well. So my presentation will focus on two things. What is leadership for you and what makes integrity? And before I conclude, we would look at how to prepare yourself and prevent a crisis if you face so. There are 10 characteristics of a leader. You don't have all 10 is fine. Tak semestinya perlu ada 10 ciri tersebut untuk menjadi seorang pemimpin. Bila kita bercakap, adakah soal integrity? Second, work on your priorities. What is your priority as a leader? In your capacity as a student representative council, what is your priority? What is your priority? Yes? What is your priority? Study as a student leader. As a student leader, what is your priority? Yeah? 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 Yes? Student. your priority as a student. Betul, keutamaan kita sebagai seorang pelajar, tapi sebagai seorang pemimpin pelajar, apa yang harus kita lakukan? The well-being of student. Bagaimana kita nak meningkatkan soal kebajikan pelajar? Itu mungkin ditanya nanti bila temu Dr. Zam, bagaimana perancangan dasar untuk meningkatkan kebajikan pelajar misalnya. So you set your priority when you become a leader. Third, you must have commitment and dedication. Don't force yourself to become a leader. When you force yourself to become leader, you will not be able to give 100% to lead your organization, your body, or any council. Fourth, have vision and goal. Not only during campaigning period, masa bertanding, bulan boleh jatuh ke riba. Campak bintang kita jumpa bulan. Masa kita berkempen. Tapi if we can rationalize our vision and goal, I strongly believe that we will be able to achieve that. But rationalize that. Achievable. Yang boleh kita capai. Jangan janjikan sesuatu yang tak boleh kita capai. Akhirnya itu akan menjadi satu pengkhianatan kepada jawatan, kedudukan dan juga tanggungjawab kita. Don't betray the responsibility that is given to you as a leader. The organization means so important. Not for you who's holding the position within that office, but the student who have elected. They have given you trust, confidence to bring changes. So how do you reflect that at the end of your term that you have achieved so much? And you would feel happy with that. That is leadership. Yeah? And as a leader, don't pretend we know everything. Even by standing here, I can claim to you that I've learned so much from my students. A lot. So it's a long learning process. One size does not fit all. Kita tak boleh andaikan kita tahu semuanya. Ada masanya yang di bawah itu kadang-kadang lebih tahu daripada kita. Jadi bagaimana kita mencari satu hubungan resiprokal, hubungan yang saling lengkap melengkapi di antara satu sama lain. Itu penting untuk kita terokai, you explore further by using the mechanism, approach, getting close to the others. Don't work in silo. Leaders who work in silo will not last long. And I assume you do not want to stop here as a student council representative. You would want to go further. After this, what is next? What is next? What is next? Of course, one day you would want to become the Prime Minister of Malaysia. Wouldn't you want to be a Prime Minister of Malaysia? That is highest post, office that you can hold. Jangan kata nak jadi raja Nak jadi raja lingam boleh, tapi raja tak boleh. Tapi macam mana? Pada kedudukan sebagai seorang Perdana Menteri, we must aim high, get low. Maybe you would want to join political parties. Maybe you want to lead a political party. So how do you connect yourself? This is a training process. Also, self-motivation is important. Sometimes we are low. Sometimes when we approach the management, when they don't accept what needs to be done, you feel like demotivated. That's normal. In a human being's life, there's an up and downs. Definitely there are up and downs. Mungkin ini salahku, tak bercermin muka. Ku menabur cinta di orang yang salah. Sebab itu, terus gagal bercinta aja sampai sekarang. There are up and downs. So, bila berada dalam kedudukan seperti itu mengajar kita menjadi matang dan juga terus meningkatkan kredibiliti kita. At the same time, you have to be a strong communicator. How do you communicate with different level? Not only with your students, with the management, with different people. Just assume in the family, how do you communicate with your parents? Do you communicate the same with your siblings? I don't think so. Can. And the eldest one kind of have veto against the youngest one. Would the eldest one speak the same language with the parents? They don't. So how do you communicate? That is important as well as one of the characteristics in becoming a leader. Besides that, I think you have to keep yourself enthusiastic. Self-motivation is important, and keep your feet on the ground. Help others develop along the way. You have to move together, not only yourself, but the others as well. Former President of America, Ronald Reagan, once said, the greatest thing that one can do is to get the people to do the greatest things. How do you get the people to do the greatest things? Not only yourself, but the people. Feel it. If they feel it, then you will have it. You will have solid support as a leader. And I strongly believe everyone in this room are able, capable, have the credibility to do that. Of course, there are other criteria as well to become leader: responsibility, motivation, I said earlier, mentorship, ethic. You must have influence, support, decision making, regardless it's a popular or unpopular decision. You must be able to make decision. Dr. Mahathir stood for 22 years because he took the risk. He's willing to make unpopular decision. Same goes to Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim. He's making a lot of unpopular decision because he believed that maybe you'd see the result, not now, but 2 years, 3 years. But time maybe is not with you. Maybe your term is only 1 year. But within that 1 year, how do you manage? How can you contribute? How can you make sure that everything that is linked with the characteristics as a leader is there with yourself? There are 5 levels of leadership. 5 P's, 5 R's. How do you position rights? How you permission relationships? How you production, there's a production results, people development, reproduction, and also pinnacle respect. The first one, position rights, reflects on people follow a leader because they have to. How many of you here, you follow because you have to? I'm not asking whether you're forced to come here today, but how many of you feel that people follow a leader because they have to? Sebab terpaksa. Kita ikut je orang tu, telunjuk dia sebab kita rasa terpaksa. Ataupun the second one, people follow leader because they want to. Willingly, secara sukarela kita rasakan bahawa kita nak ikut pemimpin seperti itu. The third one, people follow leader because of what the leader has done for the organization. That's the third one. The fourth, people follow leader because of what they have done for them. It's because what you have done, you just follow the leader. Or the fifth, people follow a leader because of who they are and what they represent. Generally, we go for the fifth one. But there are some percentage, about 20% who falls to number 1, number 2, there are about 15%, 30, the number third, 15%, fourth, maybe 20%, there are. Some do that. So you decide yourself, how do you want to progress? As I said earlier, leadership is work in progress. So every level, every different level have some kind of challenges that you have to face. Of course, we are looking at the goal. How do you make a difference within the goal? Great leaders doesn't set out to be a leader, they set out to make a difference. So how differ, how unique, how distinct would you see yourself compared to the others? Bila kita bandingkan kita sebagai seorang pemimpin, sejauh mana kita berbeza, kita unik, kita ada kewibawaan, kemampuan sebagai seorang pemimpin berbeza dengan pemimpin lain. Itu akan menampakkan diri kita berbeza. The charismatic values that you carry with yourself. Nilai karisma itu penting. Dan karisma itu ada yang rasakan sudah dilahirkan ketika lahir. Ada begitu. Who feel they were born with charismatic leader? Who feel that they have it since the day one you came to see us? Ada? Anyone who feels that? Or you feel it's inherited? And develop kind of dynasty leadership? That happens a lot in Malaysia and also elsewhere. That's where you see the dynasty of politics, nepotism, nepo babies. They call it nepo babies because the parent may have a position, then the children follow through. Yeah? For example, we take the second Prime Minister, Tun Abdul Razak. Then you saw Datuk Sri Najib Razak. Then you saw Nazir, the other brother, was so good in business. Then third one, Tun Usinon. You have Hishamuddin. Then you have Tun Dr. Mahathir, Mukris, Muzani, Mirzan. Then you have Abdullah Ahmad Badawi. Yeah? None of the children became or were active in politics, but he had one son-in-law. Kan? Siapa dia? Keluar sekejap, siapa dia? Keluar sekejap tahu, KJ. KJ is the son-in-law to Tun Abdullah Ahmad Badawi. After that, Najib Razak. He has 3 of his children now active in politics. Then we have Mahathir came back after 22 years. For 22 months, Tan Sri Muhyiddin took over. After Tan Sri Muhyiddin, we had Ismail Sabri, then now Anwar Ibrahim. And don't forget, Datuk Sri Anwar also had that linkages in politics through his father and his mother as well. Yeah? So that's how it works. So maybe some feel that that is in the linkages of the family. That's why they feel that they would want to groom themselves as a leader. It's okay. But those who don't feel they have it, it's okay. You develop yourself as a leader. Yeah? So, as a leader, you must achieve certain goals. Yeah? As a student council representative, our focus is to achieve certain goals. Earlier I said you may have certain goals, achievable, not achievable. Always look at to an extent you're able to complete it. Maybe 100%, 67%, 35%, 15%. It's okay, as long you can see some kind of progress. And always remember, you cannot satisfy everyone. You cannot. Rambut sama hitam, hati lain-lain. Apatah lagi yang tak berambut. Macam mana kita nak jaga sensitivity itu? Kan? Kita tak boleh nak puaskan hati semua orang. Betul kan? Dalam satu WhatsApp group, 10 orang kadang-kadang ada 5. Daripada 5 jadi 3. Kan? Walhal in the same organization. Betul? It's just like when you join or you enroll yourself in a university. The first week is the most interesting week. Kan? Jumpa kawan baru, you meet new friend. Baldi awak, baldi aku. Bros gigi awak, bros gigi aku. Motor awak, motor aku. Tak ada selimut, tak apa. You don't have pillows, never mind, you can have mine. After 2 weeks, you start to distance yourself. Why? Because you meet the others. Kan? Mula mengata antara satu sama lain. That's only about 2 of you in a room, sometimes or 4 of you. Just imagine how do you want to lead in a country which have 33 million population. It's not easy. It's not easy. What more Malaysia, which is unique on its own. Rancam, pelbagai. Kan? Aneka ragam. Ada kalanya yang sensitif pada kita tidak sensitif pada orang lain. Macam mana kita nak pastikan tak disentuh? How do you make sure that you don't touch sensitive issues? A leader must be able to make sure that he leads everyone at the national level. But sadly, our political parties are based on ethnic or religion. That is something that you can't get away. It needs time. Yeah? So somehow you will have people using the trump card by focusing on ethnic or religion-related issues. That is Malaysia. But if you want to be a leader, you must be able to portray someone who can lead anyone, regardless of your ethnicity, religiosity, gender, political ideology. Don't discriminate gender. What's wrong to have a woman as a prime minister? Kan? Why not? One day, Malaysia see a woman as a prime minister. Are we ready? The women themselves are not confident. We had Megawati in Indonesia. We had Benazir Bhutto in Pakistan. We had Hasima in Bangladesh. And I'm talking about Muslim countries, eh? So, the highest that we have seen in Malaysia is a deputy prime minister between 2018 till 2020. That's the wife to the current prime minister, Datin Sri Wan Aziza. That's the highest we have seen. But hopefully, if that particular female or woman have all the criteria that we saw just now, the characteristics as a leader, why not? Maybe integrity will change if a woman lead one day, maybe, yeah, hopefully. Also, as a leader, you must be able to keep track your progress. Yeah, this is like going to gym. Gym, you know gym? Okay. I was not as tall, dark, handsome macam ni. When I went back to Japan a few years ago, I was very close to the staff, very close. And they was asking me, "Doste Siva-san, nande kono ni nattan desu ka? Doste?" Kalau nak translate, apa terjadi pada engkau Siva? Dulu handsome. Kaku janai ka? Mai ni wa. Itu kata dia orang. Bukan kata saya. So immediately I registered to a gym there. Immediately. So I started to look into my calorie, my food intake, my training. But there's one thing, the Japanese gym practice which we have yet to practice in Malaysia. Well, I'm reflecting to the gym that I go in Penang. In Japan, you cannot wear the same shoe that you're wearing now in the gym. It's a no-no. You have to bring different set of shoe, clothes, equipments if you want to bring. That has to be a different one. But here, kaki ayam pun boleh masuk gym. Tak pakai apa-apa pun boleh. Lepas kerja nak pakai baju kerja pun boleh. Tapi di sana tak boleh. It's a no-no. That's where you see Japanese, how they practice discipline as the main tool to progress. And why I'm using this, in order for you keep track your progress as a leader, they must have certain items. How do you plan? How do you engage with people? How do you see, using SWOT analysis, your strength, your weaknesses? Where are the opportunities? Where are the threats towards your leadership? What should you do? What have you achieved? How have you implemented in whatever you want to achieve as a leader? Documentation is important, it's pertinent. In anything you do, documentation will allow you to have a reflection as a leader. That is important. Well, there should be your growth checklist. Jangan tengok gigi, tengok saya sudah kat situ. Pick a leadership goal. There must be a goal. And how do you apprise others in your inner circle of the goal? As well, collect specific ideas on how to improve. Maybe the others can contribute a lot. Maybe if you feel that you have one idea, but as a leader, if you have collective consensus, a decision on collecting ideas and elicit feedback on how you're doing, get feedback from the others. I used to have my vice chancellor before this. He always asks, Tex, how am I doing? He's a vice chancellor. How would you say? Tell me. Would you tell him he's not doing well? Do you dare tell him? But as a leader, must be able to accept criticism. If you're condemned on your leadership, accept that as a challenge. How to improve your leadership. That's how it works. Yeah. And one size does not fit all. As I said earlier, you're gonna represent not only solely on your own religion, own ethnic group, own gender, own political ideology, or your own council. Sometimes when you're elected, maybe two different camps will be elected together to be in the student council representative. Kan? And what happens? The reality is the majority will try to silence the minority by trying to sabotage, sideline them, or give them not a very good ESCO position. Just because they have won that election, you keep them in the loop. That happens in any university if you're looking at the council. But I would suggest strongly, after election, you should be able to work with anyone. Doesn't put aside the differences. Look at the similarities. If you can work closely, that make easier for us to move and also to pressure the management to accept the changes that we would like to bring to our organization or to the council that we represent. But if you prolong the differences, then the focus will be only on the differences, not on the similarities. Similarities should be seen as the asset when we want to celebrate diversity. If you can look at a win-win situation, bring everyone together, regardless of their age group, gender, political ideology, religion, ethnicity. I'm keep on repeating the same thing because this happens at your level, and I'm afraid you bring it outside later when you want to become a leader of a political party or any other organization. So in order to avoid that, have a proper training from beginning. Yeah? It is true that integrity alone will make you a leader, but without integrity, you will never be one. Integrity is paramount, is important. Although many studies that have been done before by UPM, by Institute Integrity Malaysia, they say that most of the graduate, I'm not trying to generalize everyone, most of the graduate, they don't care about corruption, about malpractices, about irregularities. It's okay to be corrupted. That is the finding that I'm sharing with you. That was done a few years ago by the other institution, which means that although we are seen as who are graduated, but we still putting aside integrity. But without integrity, I think you will never make it as a leader. Of course, the key components of integrity in leadership, it comes with honesty, jujur, ikhlas, itu penting. Bukan kejujuran orang lain, tetapi sejauh mana kita jujur pada diri kita dan juga kita mengangkat martabat jujur itu untuk dicontohi oleh orang lain. We become the role model to the others. To what extent we can become the role model? Teladan kepada yang lain, contoh kepada yang lain. Consistent is important. Discipline is important. If you're not consistent with what you're doing and making U-turn, then integrity is not there. Fairness, be fair with everyone. It's difficult. Yes, it's difficult. As I said earlier, even in a family, it's difficult to have fairness. When you have 6 siblings, the elders always feel that he has the right, he has everything. Yang tengah-tengah tersepit, yang bongsu, yalah, kena bully, kan? Bukan semua lah, I'm just giving what is generalized. So how do you make sure there's fairness? Responsibility, bertanggungjawab kat atas apa saja kedudukan, pangkat, jawatan yang kita pikul. Courage perlu ada. Kalau semua itu ada, maka itu menjadi asas kepada pembentukan nilai integriti dalam sesuatu kepimpinan. Eisenhower said once, there's no real success is possible, no matter whether it is on a section gang, a football field, in an army, or in office, if there's no integrity. Yeah. Of course, it's a choice between convenient or what is right. Mengikut keselesaan ataupun melakukan sesuatu yang betul. For example, kan, kita nak pergi berbuka, contohnya, malam ni, katakan pagi esok dekat Lumut. Ni dah Lumut. This is the first time I'm coming to Lumut actually. Katakan pukul 4 pagi. Lalu traffic light, dalam satu kereta, tapi jalan tak ada kenderaan langsung. There's no car on the road. Traffic light merah. Adakah kita jalan atau kita berhenti sampai tukar hijau? Reality, kita bercakap reality. Reality. Atas jalan tak ada kenderaan, there's no cars on the road. It's about kita nak pergi bersahur at 5:30. There's no cars. 4 of you in a car. Bawa kita, traffic light merah. Would you pass through the road or you stop? You're looking for the camera first, like me. When you drive along the highway, we know if you use often the road, you know where's the camera. So you tend to slow down there, then you speed up again. Betul? That's normal. I do that. So I don't have integrity as well. Normal bila kita tengok kamera dekat highway, kita tahu kalau kerap gunakan jalan yang sama, kat situ 110, slow. Lepas tu pecut balik, 180, 200. Lepas tu patah balik, 110. That happens. But if, in a situation, 4 pagi tadi, would you stop? The reality says, No, we do not stop. But integrity says that it's doing the right thing even when no one is watching. Just assume someone is watching you. Just assume there's a policeman there. Just assume there's a camera there. So if you assume, then I think integrity will be there. Every time, whatever decision you make, assume someone is watching you. There are traits of things when you talk about having integrity. Yeah, how do you express gratitude when other people help you? Value honesty and openness. Be responsible, accountable, transparent, competent. These are the things that are needed when we talk about integrity. Respect yourself and others around, no matter where, who you meet. It can be a cleaner, it can be a driver. Doesn't mean you're a graduate, you're at the highest level of position. No. Everyone are equal at the end. So that's where integrity is important. Yeah. Sometimes leadership faces crisis. We face a lot of crisis. Giuliani said that the time of crisis is where good leaders emerge. That's where you are tested in a crisis. Pernah kita hadapi krisis? Banyak krisis. Krisis kehidupan, kemurungan, krisis, bila perkataan yang famous kita guna sekarang ni, stres. Benda yang tak perlu kita stres pun kita stres. Tertekan. Banyak benda katanya tertekan. Jadi, sejauh mana kita rasa tertekan? Dalam bentuk kedudukan krisis yang macam mana? Of course, kenal dia? Ronaldo? Astaghfirullahaladzim, bukan. Rubin Ibrahim. Inilah pengurus Manchester United sekarang ni yang sedang berhadapan dengan krisis. Tapi what did he say? I want everyone to be part of the football club. He came from a club yang tak pernah kalah. Tiba-tiba datang ke klub yang hari-hari kalah. Dekat luar tadi saya ditegur, why are you still supporting Manchester? Takkan kita nak sokong sesebuah pasukan hanya ketika menang? Kan? Sewaktu kalah patut kita sokong lagi. Bermakna, it's how a leader deals with an unpredictable event that threatens the organization. That's where you take risk, unpopular decision. What decision did he take? He loaned Rashford yang dimanjakan. Kan? He took the risk. Why? He feels that the unity of the club is more important. Same goes to a leader. You must sacrifice someone in order to make sure that it doesn't affect your organization, your council, you as a leader. A bold decision needs to be made. That's where sometimes you have to put aside emotional decision. That's where I think I admire Dr. Mahathir. Yeah? He put aside emotional feelings, although sensitive nak sebut nama Dr. Mahathir sekarang ni, but yet you cannot take away himself as a statement. Same goes to Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim himself, who's willing to take unpopular decision, who's willing to make unpopular decision to make sure that the growth of the nation is not affected. We'll see. The history will speak one day. That is when we faced in USA COVID-19 crisis. Yes, that's me. I was the director for Nerve Center. We call it Nerve Center, Disaster Center. So crisis leadership is about long-term planning. How do you plan? We went to sanitize all the rooms. Of course, it affects you as well. But if you don't lead by example, how do you show to the others that this is what the others would want to see? Yeah? This is how you manage a crisis. You evaluate risks to the organization, you prepare for emergencies. You need to do that. And how do you respond to a crisis? You have to implement your crisis with response plan. The team is important. Pasukan untuk mainkan peranan yang penting. Dan dalam krisis, kita perlu kekal tenang. Disitulah soal integriti kehadapan, sejauh mana kita mampu untuk menggambling tenaga bersama, menggunakan seluruh sokongan, mobilize the whole support to make sure that we are able to communicate effectively. That is during crisis. You may not have faced any crisis yet, you may face in future, but in crisis, you need to take certain measurement. Decisive, you have to make decision, buat keputusan. You must adapt to the situation, adaptasi kepada suasana ataupun keadaan ketika itu. You are reliable. Yang lain merasa mudah untuk meletakkan beban kepada kita sebagai seorang pemimpin. Inspire the others during crisis. You don't become a liability, but you become an asset to the others when you lead the council in the university. When you are seen as an asset, that's where you reflect contribution towards the council, to the other students in your university. Yeah? And communicate in crisis is vital. In a modern world with advanced technology, there must be values and morals. Yeah? Civilization collapsed not because of economy or social issues, but because there were no values and morals. That is why governance was broken. It's what Dr. Anwar said once. So values, norms must be upheld by yourself as a leader. And of course, today, social media has become the platform. Lately, we have seen how social media been utilized to communicate with everyone. If not because of social media, the 3 DJs in era will not be penalized. It's because of social media. Whether it's right or wrong, it's not for me to decide, but how social media were utilized. Those days we had poison letters, surat layang. Why 13 May 1969 incident happened? One of the reasons is because of poison letters, surat layang. And we end up with a riot on 13 May, 3 days after the 3rd general elections, when in Selangor, no one could form the government. The opposition and the ruling government then had the same number. There were procession untuk sambut kemenangan yang akhirnya membawa kepada peristiwa 13 Mei. Tapi hari ini platformnya sudah berubah. Sama, poison letters, surat layang. Now kita melihat bagaimana media sosial menjadi media layang. Media sosial diguna pakai untuk sebar pelbagai maklumat. A lot of informations translated into various forms of social media. But how do you utilize social media to communicate? You have Instagram, you have TikTok, you have WhatsApp group, you have YouTube, all falls under social media. Yeah? And I think as a leader, that is important. And if I can conclude, of course, leader sees leadership as responsibility rather than as rank and privilege. If you feel you're elected, appointed in that position, always remember it comes with responsibility. Tidak ada jawatan sebagai satu anugerah, tapi ia datang dengan tanggung jawab. Tanggung jawab. Anugerah dan tanggung jawab, dua yang berbeza. Integrity comes from us, not others. Don't expect the others to have integrity, but not yourself. Third, communication is important. Regardless, at any level, you must be able to communicate with not only your team, but everyone in that ecosystem. Be proactive rather than reactive. In the beginning, I said you must have vision, goal that is proactive. Don't just react, but think ahead, out of the box. And look at the crisis as an opportunity to learn, grow, and transform. If you can do that, you will become a great leader, not a good leader, but a great leader. But make sure integrity is reflected in your leadership. With that, thank you. Kalau nanti masa buka ada nasi lemak muka saya, makan nasi lemak, jangan makan muka saya. Terima kasih.
Thank you Yang Berbahagia Dato Dr. Professor Siva Murugan, son of Pandian, for the inspiring session just now. Yang Berbahagia Dato Prof, kindly remain on the stage for the next agenda. We would like to invite Mr. Amirul Hakim bin Zainuddin, Project Director of Leadership, Education, Action, Determination, Experience LEADx Symposium 2025 to deliver the souvenir to Yang Berbahagia Dato Professor Dr. Siva Murugan. Thank you Mr. Amirul for the delivery of souvenirs. Yang Berbahagia Dato, Yang Berbahagia Dato, can we take a minute to have a Q&A session? Okay, boleh. Can we have a Q&A session with the participants? Do you have any questions? You may raise your hands and ask your questions.
Dah bagi souvenir baru ada Q&A. Anyone? You can ask any question. You're welcome. Silakan. Ya Puan.
Test. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Tuan Akila Fiza, coming from UniKL Business School. So my question regarding leadership and integrity is, when we are in the top position, most likely we have the power to organize the organization. So my question is, when we are on the bottom one, like not the highest hierarchy, how are we going to change the organization slowly in the maybe the highest ever style to change the nature or environment of the organization to make it much positive and much better than the current situations? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a very good question. It's a very interesting question. How does the lower level leaders influence the upper one to make sure that the upper one also understand what's happening at the lower level? I think it goes back to the communication. How does the subordinate tend to communicate with the leaders up there to make sure that there's a check and balance? Check and balance is important. And always remember, in any organization, there's a hierarchy. And the number 2 position is the most difficult position, not number 1. The number 2 always have people who've been pushing. Pergilah nombor 1, pergilah nombor 1. So berlawan. That's where you put aside your integrity, the differences. So that's where I think there must be a consensus, there must be understanding. Trust is important in leadership. Although in reality it's difficult to have trust, but I think if gradually it's learned, and also if everyone tend to make sure that they are in a team, they cannot have 2 captains in an organization. There can always be one. Itu satu-satunya nakoda kita, petunjuk kita. The others must make sure that this is the leader. Regardless, sometimes, yes, the leader make wrong decision. That's where the others come in, bermusyawarah, berbincang. You discuss together. Nilai tasamu, bertolak ansur itu penting. Pemimpin yang atas harus bersedia untuk mendengar yang bawah juga harus bersedia untuk melengkapi kedudukan atasan. That legitimates the relationship. Legitimacy of a leadership depends on the relationship between yang bawah dengan atas. The dilemma, the polemic is when you are in the highest position, you feel that you have all the power to do whatever you want. That's why I would suggest from here onwards, make sure that you do not practice that. Yeah, there are rotten one. Look at the good one. The good side of the leaders. Yang tak elok tu tak perlu kita ikut. Sama juga yang sensitif tak perlu kita usik. Jadi yang tak elok tak perlu kita ikut, yang elok itu kita jadikan sebagai teladan, sebagai contoh. This is the role model that we want to follow. When in that position, we know it's temporary. Andaikan jawatan itu sesuatu yang bersifat sementara, bukan sesuatu yang tetap, barulah kita boleh menjalankan tanggungjawab kita secara jujur, ikhlas, menampakkan kewibawaan, menampakkan nilai karismatik kita. Karisma itu datang bila kita mempamer kedudukan sebagai seorang pemimpin yang akan terus dijadikan contoh dan juga akan terus diteladani oleh orang lain. We would want to be the role model, the good one. And it's not easy actually. Remember, to be a leader, although I have put 10 characteristics, it's not easy to have all 10. Even if you have 6, 7 out of 10, it's good enough. So, I strongly believe as a team, you must be able to communicate and to make sure that among yourself, if it's a reflection of student council leadership, try to minimize the internal crisis, polemic, issues. I've seen many in different universities. The problem is internal issues. We always blame the others without looking at what we are doing, whether the decision that we are making is the right one, or it suits only to us rather than the majority. Okay, thank you. Ada lain? Silakan. Yep.
Good evening, Professor.
Yeah.
I'm Timothy from Unicare we met. So my question is kind of related to the previous question, but in a place where how do you lead with groups of people where they are older than you, large age gap, where they are a little bit mature than you, where they are a little bit like more experienced than you, but then they elect you as to be a leader in their group. So how do you set that example of a leadership to them? How do you show humility? How do you guide them, in a group members to be a leader in their group?
Thank you, Timothy. It's a very good question indeed. How do you lead in a group where you have the matured, more, I would say, a gap of age, but you the leader, that you have to lead those so-called adult, although you would call yourself as adult as well. But as the leader, we have seen a 21 years old member of parliament elected in 2018. He was re-elected again, and his constituency comprised different age group. That's why my slide just now, you see, one size does not fit all. You must be able to communicate with different age group, different gender, different political ideology, and how through that shows that although they may think they are more matured than yourself, but you're the one who's leading that organization. Whether they like it or not, your decision is a decision for the betterment, for the well-being, for the livelihood of whatever area you are leading. Same goes to your organization. The adult, if they are above those 30s, 40s, if they think that they know better than yourself, I think they are wrong. In an organization, you are equal. Yeah, you are equal. Just now I was reflecting to Batu constituency, Prabhakaran. He won in 2018, and he won, re-elected again. There are many leaders who were elected at the age of 24, 26, and they had to lead different age group. Syed Saddiq, he's young. I'm talking about Syed Saddiq, not Bella. Only Syed Saddiq, not Bas. So, he leads. So as a leader, you must put aside the differences, but again, it comes with respect. You must be able to respect the older one. If you respect, if you communicate the way you're supposed to go, you do not show you're arrogant to them, I think they'll be willing to listen to a leader who portrays a charismatic leadership. Yeah? The value must be there. Don't look at the office, but look at yourself as someone who have to lead anyone, regardless whatever differences arise in that particular situation. Thank you. I'll take that one first, then yours.
Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And hi, Dr. or Dato. Leadership is not just making decision, but also predicting and handling unexpected problems. Suppose Dato or any top boss over here introduce a policy that helps most students to do better in academics and in engagements. But later, it also causes stress, burnouts, and mental health issues for some. How will you find and fix these new problems without undoing the progress already made?
Prof nak jawab ke, Prof? Nak jawab ke? How do you balance both? Yeah, you want to see a progress in the policy, but at the same time make sure that everyone is happy. But as I said earlier, rambut sama hitam, hati lain-lain, apatah lagi yang tak berambut, susah kita nak puaskan hati semua orang. It's not easy to satisfy everyone. But if you can satisfy the majority, yeah, definitely someone will get burnt out, someone will stress out. That's normal. But at the end, if the majority feels that the policy suits well, but the mechanism, the approach taken is important. How do you implement it? The implementation process is important. The delivery system is important. It cannot be one way. It has to be two-way. How do we speak to each other to make sure that it's a win-win situation for everyone? But if you're forced to do that, then the policy will not last long. It happens in academic as well. If you put aside certain criteria, certain KPIs that cannot be fulfilled, then the lecturers get stressed out, the student become the victim. It happens. But again, I strongly believe that if you want to introduce a policy, if it's good policy, if it is for the betterment of the student, the ecosystem of the campus, it needs everyone to compromise and sacrifice without asking who should compromise, who should sacrifice. And again, integrity and also honesty is important. Jujur. Kejujuran itu penting bila kita buat sesuatu. If we are really honest in that policy, we will see the progress and achievement. Of course, when you produce a policy, there's a short-term, middle-term, long-term planning. The problem in Malaysia, we want to have instant result. Kita buat policy hari ini seolah-olah dah tercapai semalam. Itu sebenarnya yang selalu berlaku. Yeah, that's the mindset. How do you fulfill the mindset, needs and demands of the people? And I strongly believe the silent majority must come out. Always the silent majority, keeping quiet, follow through, without saying, cakap kat belakang, semua itu tak boleh lagi berlaku. You cannot have your WhatsApp group kat belakang-belakang. If it's not right, tell it how to improve, how to make changes. Then you'll see betterment and index happiness akan naik. We do not want to see a good policy, but the index happiness goes down. Nanti ramai yang meninggal nanti. Sini. I hope I answered your question.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. Dato.
Yeah.
My name is Haikal from UniKL MyTech.
Yeah, Haikal.
And I have a simple short question for you. The question is that regarding social media now, the authenticity of us being a leader, how to remain ourselves while being authentic, and also how to remain, how to handle the public opinion, which is the negative and the positive. Thank you.
Thank you, Haikal. Good question indeed. How do we manage social media? If I can summarize. Social media has become the platform that we communicate. Benedict Anderson said that there's an imagined community, and that exists now on social media. And some people tend to become somebody that is not meant to be on social media. Why? Because they want to follow through what's happening in the contemporary era. They tend to brand themselves, market themselves as such to win the perception and sentiment that's happening. The problem with social media is we cannot control the news. Sometimes fake news become true. The truth behind the fake news is put aside. I always believe that in social media, we must educate ourselves first. When we choose to look at information, how genuine is the news? If you're looking at a leader, you know that person doesn't reflect that. Of course, it's marketing. But then at the same time, maybe he's forced to do that because he wants to make sure that he can win support. In the last election, if I can make a footnote, many leaders tend to sing, dance, to win support from the youth. Yang tak boleh nyanyi pun cuba nyanyi. Yang tak boleh menari pun cuba. But Boris Yeltsin did that in 1988. Then Bill Clinton did it in US when he was facing a leadership crisis. Sometimes leaders choose a lot of ways to get closer to the public. Populist decision normally gets closer to the people. Kita suka gosip, kan? Tak payah pergi jauh, kita pergi pada Syed Saddiq. Are you looking at Syed Saddiq dengan Prima Vele ni is genuine or is just to make a content? Mana satu? Adakah semata-mata buat konten dengan bela, naik Gunung Kinabalu, sanggup mengharung lautan untuk bela, pakai baju Melayu, kan? Sanggup suap, minum air sama, makan sama, semuanya sama, kan? Kontennya bagaimana? Seolah-olah konten itu menjadi penting. Jadi bagaimana kita lihat refleksi media sosial itu seolah-olah menjadi tempat kita menagih sokongan. And we are using any ways to win support. So it goes back to us, whether we want to see it as authentic or not, genuine or not. Yeah? Until the sister came out and saying that, well, she's happy. Is that a sign they are a couple? Kan? Saya pun dulu nak dengan Nelofa. Tak menjadi-jadi. Kalau dah ini saya dah hulur tudung untuk semua dah. Jadi begitulah kedudukannya. Kan? Tapi begitulah ya. Kalau kita lihat pada surah Al-Hujurat ayat ke-14, kita dilahirkan laki-laki, wanita bersuku-suku, berpuak-puak untuk saling kenal, mengenal di antara satu sama lain. Itu tazkirah Ustaz Sivarudin untuk penutup hari ini. Jadi, I hope I answered your question. Okay? Ada lagi? Ustaz? Ustaz dulu.
Dato', can we have this
Can.
as the last
1,
question?
2, ada seorang wanita kat belakang. 3, ada lagi? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 jadi meet Dr. Siva nanti. Satu je. Satu je Dah daripada organizer kata satu je. Siapa? Dia dah bangun dah bang.
Boleh.
Sila.
Okay. Hello doctor.
Ya.
I would like to ask lah, because you come from a politic background.
Yeah.
And I just want from your insight, do we like the university student, the current right now, have the like the guts and capabilities to bring reformation towards the country, country well-beings lah, because to fight against the wrongdoings by the leader. And the follow-up question, does the platform we have right now is actually hold back our capabilities to bring justice to the, because like we can see in the Indonesia, the student have the power and the impact for their pemilu lah, the election. And like in the Bangladesh, we can see the student also have the power to doing the COP data towards the country. So does we, the university student right now, have the capabilities to do something that can reform the country?
Thank you. I hope there's no coup d'etat among the student to overthrow the government. Tidak ada rampasan kuasa untuk menjatuhkan kerajaan. No, student before, if you look at 1970s in Malaysia, student movement were very strong. They're the one who led the changes, and you see a lot of those who became student leaders then have participated and actively involved in politics today. Of course, by saying that, you have the opportunity to bring change. Things have changed. How could been amended to allow you. Now you can become a candidate at the age of 18, you can participate, and also you can involve in campaign, regardless whether you're the ruling government or opposition, you can bring change. Whether it's a political culture of the student in Malaysia that you cannot compare with Indonesia yet. Indonesia's history goes down after the fall of Suharto. The movement were very active back in 1998 compared to Malaysia. But the reform, I think, currently the Prime Minister is bringing is towards that. Even Dr. Zam was arrested, was behind the prison for 2 weeks in 1997. Many doesn't know. After the arrest of Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim, he was arrested as well. He was under ISA for 2 weeks in Sentul Balai Police. and he was actively involved in student movement in UIA. So that is a reflection where he is now. But the students must have goals, vision. Janganlah just to become popular, you want to become a leader. You must become a leader who can lead a country like Malaysia. The student must come together, regardless whether you're in UniKL, UKM, USM, UITM, Utah, Ames, anywhere. The students must come together. If you uphold integrity on issues related to the people, not politically motivated issues. But if you think you can contribute to the betterment of the people, to change the well-being, if you understand the needs, demands, and the mindset of the people, I will support you. And I strongly believe the others here will also support you. If you put aside personal interests, but the people first. And students have the capability to do that if they come together. Okay? Thank you. Habis.
Thank you so much kepada yang berbahagia Dr. Professor Dr. Siva Murugan upon the Q&A session just now. Ladies and gentlemen, as the session finished, those who cannot perform their Jamak prayers are kindly requested to proceed with their Asar prayers at the earliest convenience and return to the hall by 4:50 p.m. For the others, kindly remain in the hall for the next agenda. Thank you.